still have my controller because I was like planning to do runs, but I started some attempts off stream and I didn't get anywhere in like some time. So yeah, just figured I'd do this instead. I don't want to do anything to do something. Did I present anything to you yet? I'm interested in talking about. Okay. Do you have anything to say about anything? We're looking at the leads, but we can only look into a few key players with our limited resources. Hi Panda, what's up? Yeah, it's been a while. How you doing? There's no reason for that. Okay, it's just. There's an interesting rumor about this man. The one about Miss Andrews getting close to him. That's pretty common tabloid fare, isn't it? And take things at face value when there's more to be found. Okay. Doing alright? Good to hear, good to hear. I'm doing okay-ish, I guess. Got some struggles with uni, but it is what it is. And pronouns don't necessarily mean anything about gender. I just want to use they them. At the moment, at least. While I was abroad, these deplorable types of actors became popular, I take it. Well, refreshing like a spring breeze is his motto. Refreshing? And what is so refreshing about the spring breeze? God damn it, Sworth. Yes. I used they them pronouns. Looks like the pollen is not treating him well this year. Oof. Adrian Andrews. She holds a large secret within herself. Secret? You can tell but feel that this whole case revolves around her. Okay. This woman is another key to solving this case. Do you really think so? It was Adrian Andrews' mentor a long time ago. She was suddenly called away by a different show and became Juan Corrida's manager. Thanks. And then a few months later, Celeste Inpex died. But her death was ruled a suicide, right? Yes. There's still one riddle we've yet to nice typo by the game. We've yet to solve a riddle. Her suicide note. It went missing. No one could find it. The suicide note had just vanished. Okay. Miss Infax's death was most certainly a suicide. Of that there is no mistake. However, we could not find her suicide note. That's when the police began to suspect that someone had hidden a suicide note. How do you know Miss Infax had even written such a note? There's no solid evidence, however, we did find traces of ink on her right index finger, which makes the likelihood of a suicide note very high. But who would hide such a thing? Police think it was Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? He was the one who found her body, which makes him the only person who had a chance to hide her suicide note. Rita hid his own major suicide note. But why? As long as her note is missing, any speculation beyond this is meaningless. For now, I think you should look this over. This is the suicide report. Part 1 anyway. Part 1. Okay. I'd like to look through reports. I like suicide reports even less. First of all are reports that have multiple parts like that one, that has two. 2 parts? What it just handed me is the first part of the report. Here is the second part. The second part of the report is about an attempted suicide. Attempter's name. It's Adrian Andrews. Oh my. Miss Andrews, what did she do? She tried to kill herself. She doesn't seem like the kind of person who tried to kill herself though. You think she's a strong career woman? That's just what she wants you to think. Adrian Andrews is a certain secret she's always trying to hide. Secret? Her dependent nature. That's what she really like. That's what she's really like on the inside. Miss Andrews, dependent. Talk about the exact opposite of what that woman is. Oh. What's this about Miss Andrews having a dependent nature? Adrian Andrews attempted suicide. It was a few days after the death of Celestine Pax. And why did Adrian Andrews think about committing suicide? Because she had apparently lost her will to live. Or still will. Why would she? Her pillar of strength, her mentor Celestine Pax, was gone forever. That's why. Why would that? Is this what they call following someone to the grave? After her attempted suicide, Adrian Andrews started attending counseling sessions. She's someone who needs a person in whom she can trust absolutely. And once she finds that person, she'll do anything to keep them near. Without such an anchor in her life, her crippling anxiety stifles her ability to live. And that's the nature of her dependency on others. When Celestine Pax suddenly committed suicide, the world before her turned pitch dark. That's according to Adrian Andrews herself. Then, that means her super confident attitude. It's all a facade. Oh man. She's only copying her mentor's behavior to hold herself together. Terrible. Oh man. I go. Okay. Oh, Miss Andrews is here. It looks like she's talking with someone. That's Francisca von Karma. Miss von Karma? What are you doing here? Well, you see, I'm his lawyer, so you've got some following me around. Following you? That's you, Miss von Karma. You're the one doing the following. Girls. You're always following after that Mr. Detective with the little beard. Me. Following after Scruffy. Don't make me laugh. Let me show you something interesting, little girl. What is that? An electromagnetic receiver. I planted a tracking device on the detective. And with this, I know that fool's every move. Wow. So that noise we heard was this receiver. I feel really sorry for poor Detective Gumshoe now. Yeah. Now then, let's stop wasting time. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. What were those two talking about? Miss Andrews. She seems a little dazed, doesn't she? Should I do this? What about this then? Never mind. God damn it. What about... Whoops. Okay, what the hell? Has to become Mr. Vanguard's manager. Pleasure to manage with his nice disposition. Vanguard does seem like a rather weak-willed man, always doing as he's told. I was saying, my manager, right, Mr. Nick? Did you know the victim, Mr. Corrida? Yes, I knew him. The world is such a small place after all. Did you know about his rivalry with the Nickel Samurai? Honestly, they were like children when it came to that. Time and time again, those two competed with each other over the most trivial things. If either one of them wasn't so stubborn, then maybe no one would have needed to die. I got a hunch that this woman knows more than she's letting on. She must know why one Corrida was killed. Do you have any ideas as to why Mr. Corrida was murdered? Why would you ask me about such a thing? I'm just doing my job, so do you have any ideas? Put me in. Miss Andrews. Sorry, but there's nothing more I have to add to this conversation. Is the cyclock, Mr. Nick? Yes, there's getting to be more and more of these, I think. Okay. Time to save so I don't lose all my health. By accident. Why was Son Corrida murdered? If you ask me, I think you know the reason he was killed. Why are you hiding things? Don't you realize you're putting Mr. Vanguard's life in danger by your actions? Why do we ask questions for which I have no answers? The truth is, I was not that close to Mr. Corrida. You were not that close. That's right, I've never been good at being intimate with another person. You're not good at being intimate with another person. Somehow, I highly doubt that. You and Mr. Corrida had an intimate relationship, did you not? Silly third-rate tabloid article. If you even had half your wits about you, you wouldn't believe such rubbish. Well, it seems quite a few people have already bought into this story. As to be expected in a world filled with crooks and liars. Yourself, stay on her good side. In any case, I despise interpersonal relationship like that. I see. However, if there was a need for you to get close to someone, me, need to get close to Mr. Corrida, as if there was ever such a need. Oh, bye. Sorry for the yawning. Need to get close to Mr. Corrida for this person's sake. Celestine your mentor. How do you know about Celeste? Miss Invax, she committed suicide, didn't she? But it looks like no one knows why. Right before her death, she was Juan Corrida's manager. So I believe you got close to Mr. Corrida so you could find out more about her suicide. You have a great imagination. You may have a future yet as a slimy muckraker for a putrid third-rate tabloid. Miss Andrews? There was no mystery surrounding her death. None. It would be pointless for me to force myself into a relationship for nothing. Is that really true? Is there really no mystery at all? I don't believe you were completely at ease with the way her suicide was resolved. Get a hold of yourself. Huh? If you want Ed wasn't doing yourself be nice, it's just asking someone else like the police. How was that not it? What? I said to go take a look off a short pier. There's no mystery. Yes? Okay. Miss Impact's suicide note was never found, was it? It looks like the police were under the suspicion that someone had hidden it. Like maybe the person who discovered her body, Mr. Corrida. What? I'm still not sure if I'm supposed to say it like Juan or Juan. And Miss Andrews, I believe you thought the same thing. That's why you became intimate with Mr. Corrida. I've sat back quietly and listened to your insulting ramblings long enough. It's true that Celeste was my mentor, however, allow me to say this again. It had nothing to do with me. I didn't even know that her suicide note was never found. I'm a person who doesn't care about what goes on in the lives of others. It's the impression you like to give, however, I don't think that's who you really are. But I have evidence that says otherwise. It is proof that Celeste Impacts was someone very special to you. Andrews, you nearly went through with it too, didn't you? Went through with what? Ending your life. Andrews, you look and act like a very strong woman who has it all together. You don't ask for anyone's help, relying on yourself, only on yourself. Yes, I've been very independent ever since I can remember. However, that's all just a lie, a facade. You've always searched out people on whom you can depend on. You're dependent on Miss Impacts, weren't you? Which is why, when she passed away, you lost everything you had. Stop. When Celeste passed away, so suddenly like that, I died a death of my own, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about what had become of her note. You must have heard about the police report. The one that said the police suspected Mr. Corrida of hiding Miss Impact's note. I heard about it and thought to recover it from him by getting close, am I right? If that's the case, then everything changes. What do you mean? What topic did we start this conversation on again? It was why was the victim killed? Exactly. Somehow, Miss Andrews, it seems that you have become the one with the reason to want Mr. Corrida dead. See? Miss Impacts was everything to you. And then she died. And you would do anything to find out why she killed herself. Even commit murder. Murder? Nice. It's true, I am a woman who can only live in insecurity. I'm physically small and I don't really have a lot of self-confidence. I've pushed against all that though. I tried to live strongly. I never wanted anyone to find out the truth. Miss Andrews. It's the one thing I wanted to take with me to the grave. It was my secret, mine and mine alone. I'm sorry. You probably think I'm a worthless human being right now, don't you? Please, Miss Andrews, all I want to know is the truth. After Celeste passed away, I heard that someone had hidden her suicide note, and that someone was Juan Corrida. Celeste, without her I became scared. Everyone seemed like they were out to get me. So you got close to Mr. Corrida to recover her suicide note, correct? Looks like the tabloid reported the truth after all. Ironic, isn't it? Well, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. If they purposely had fueled the fire, they keep the celebrity world burning. But as for the suicide note, I didn't and wouldn't kill anyone for it. It just doesn't suit me, that's all. Well, it's enough for now. I still have work to do, so I understand. Oh, I have one small favor to ask. My attempted suicide. I'd like for you to keep it a secret. Miss Andrews. If people found out about my weakness, I would sooner choose to die than live. Alright, I understand. We'll keep the secret. Miss Andrews. I guess she's the overthinking type. She probably never says anything without carefully thinking it through first. Thank you for your discretion. Fuck. Mr. Nick, can I ask you something? What is it? Miss Andrews has been playing with the card in her hand since a little while back. That card. Yeah, I guess she has. Sanders, what is that card you're holding? Huh? Oh, this. I don't quite know. It suddenly appeared in my handbag. Okay. What is it? It looks like a seashell. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? I honestly don't remember owning this card. I wonder where I picked it up from. I'm not remembering something clearly. Sounds like it would be a rare occurrence. Well, I must be off. I leave Mr. Angard in your capable hands. Okay, is there anything here to examine? Anymore? There's a giant bone sitting on the plate. I don't really like meat. There's something weird about this plate. I just wish I could put my finger on what it is. There's something more than here at least. But like this bigger thing right here, I don't know. March 21k, okay. Well, I think we've gathered about all we can. So, Mystic Maya, is she alright? Oh, pearls. She looks so worn out by all this. She hasn't slept at all and has been walking all over the place with me today. What's wrong, Mr. Nick? Let's go back to the office for a little while. You're really tired, right? Oh no. I'm okay, really. I'm fine. I really am. Shouldn't look fine to me. Whoops, went to... where's this one? How do I... So, what now? Well, we did find one thing out for sure. Miss Andrews has a motive. You mean Miss Infex's suicide note? That's right. She was also the one to discover the victim's body. Clever. Ah, Mr. Nick, the transceiver. Hello? Wright & offices? Mr. Attorney, you're not answering a phone. Maya, where's Maya? As I promised, I have not gone within a few feet of her this whole time. Yeah. Which is why, I suppose, she's absolutely famished. What? So I suggest you bring a quick quit-all, my friend. Oh, he hasn't even been feeding her. Oh my god. At any cost, wouldn't you agree? Wait, Maya, let me hear her. Very well. Ask my... Maya, is it you? Sis, ask my sis. Maya, damn it, he cut me off. Ask my sis, didn't she? Sis, what does she mean by that? Well, Mia, of course. Come on, Phoenix. You're a hopeless one. I'm sorry. There you go. Mia, I have a message from Maya, so come, ask me anything you want about her. How's Maya? He's safe, for now. Kidnappers want to keep his word, it seems. I'm glad to hear she's safe. But Mia, how did you know? As soon as she was locked up, Maya called for me. I read that note she left. Then I gathered as much. God. Then I gathered as much information about her surroundings as I could. Didn't know you could use spirit channeling like that. Pretty smart of her. Kidnapper, what's he like? I don't know. Apparently Maya went to answer a phone call at the hotel and was struck there. And? She didn't see the face of her attacker. Maya's locked up in a very dark place right now. I'll tell you everything I heard when I was with her. When you were with her. I'm starving. I could really go for some apple pie. I mean, at a time like this, sweets are the only way to go. I have to stay positive. I promised that he wasn't going to kill me. I'm not going to die. I wonder if you're with Nick right now. Right, it's locked. Source lock seems easy enough to open. On TV, the hero always uses a plastic card or a stiff piece of cardboard. And click, they magically open the door. I wonder if there's a card like that around here I could use. What's this? It feels like there are a lot of glass bowls here. And these, they feel like barrels. I'll pass. Too bad I'm really hungry and not really thirsty. There's all sorts of things piled up here. Let's do Dr. C. Huh? Someone dropped a card here. Kinda looks like a business card, but there's no name on it. It's a picture of a seashell, I think. A strange card. Ah, that's it. This shell card. If I use this, maybe I can get the door open. This might be my key out of here. I have a feeling this card might be useful. Just a genius. Alright, now if you'll excuse me, Mr. Kidnapper. Did it. Okay, now I'm getting the heck out of here. I shouldn't keep Nick waiting, or worried. Okay. Okay. But did that actually work or something? What the hell? March 22nd, 9:47. Adrian did it. So it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. Court, today there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Miss Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. It's almost time. Yeah. I must get a complete acquittal today. I know. But I can't focus on my situation right now. Or Pearls either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him. He's right. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney, the day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Grr. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world do you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present. So where, dude? Who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Court is now in session for the trial of Matan Guard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? But the defense is ready, Your Honor. What? Where's Francisca? I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss from Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor. Please be quiet, Bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, why is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shut. What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. Okay. Was not expecting that. Okay then. What? Shot? So I guess that's what will be taken over. Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. It's present. Mr. Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Mr. Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. It's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. You're... I thought he'd show up. Governor, due to circumstances, Miss Francisca von Karma cannot appear in court today. I and Miles Edgeworth will be taking her place. Prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and I'm familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Mathan Guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right? I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. Oh no. For now? After the trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. Prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If you want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Eternity. It's going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, so... The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. First, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Is it right? You may begin your cross-examination. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hall that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean, he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So the guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. Our first order of business should be to gather more info from his testimony. There might be a trap set up for us somewhere. Maybe. However, setting up traps is a part of the lawyer's job too. You say so? Suppose we are supposed to escape from you, what did you say? Could you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 PM, ended around 8 PM, and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. That's when the victim's body was found, correct? Easy to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant met on guards, Major. She's a really pretty lady, so... Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Guard. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, so... See, and that's when she found the victim's body. The cause of death wasn't that because of Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest. Only a careless amateur would believe something so brains as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now a real pro's attention would be drawn there, not here to this bandana. Banana? His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah yes, I see. It's banana scented bandana. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murder on our hands here. Okay. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Gemini doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. How about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar with the crime to get it, how's that? And we thought of that too, but... Only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. Ah, sums for my theory then. Okay. That is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Choked, not choked. Fuck. Then after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt and Guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like it's back in full swing. Very well. Do you think I'm sure? Please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Matt Guard and Torn Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's a Gemini ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and was found in Mr. Arnigard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a pretty meditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, so... And there's this button. That's found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like, just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Okay. In terms of popularity, Mr. Angard won, did he not? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? One Corrida was always one step behind Mr. Angard in everything. This year it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end. That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing. wait just 1 second here. Mr. On Guard was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, detective. It's not... well... I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you are fired. Oh god. No, not you too, Mr. Esper, sir. That's... I look forward to your pension negotiations. No! No, detective, let's continue with the testimony. No, not my poor pension too. Oh no, I'm so sad for Gumshoe. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello, anyone? Do you have proof? Any proof that button belongs to the victim? Huh? What do you mean, pal? Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off of the Gemini's costume. Huh? But can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared the blood on there afterward. Mr. Edsworth, help me, sir. Right, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now there really is one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. That thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. The perfect match, pal. That's bad for you. Never misses a beat. Oh man. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. And then we did a search in the mall. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what is he trying to say about me here? Oof. How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that. I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony, Mr. Wright? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There's no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So is the defendant the owner of this knife then? There's no way this was a premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife. Sorry, pal. This isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't bolt, so it's not great for walking around with either. Well, this is not good. If the prosecution can prove it was premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood and a knife with the unguard's fingerprints. Be careful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness in this testimony, no matter how small it may be. Okay, Phoenix? Oh man. Yeah, I'm just gonna save over this one. Like I'm... Okay, goddammit. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Just notice the gate water in the knife. Wait a second. What? The base of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand. That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? A gatewater seal setting to the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel. Which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. It is a very big... Why is it Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force who is dumb enough not to realize this. Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corinda's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There's a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where the world did this knife come from? Oh wait, was the knife missing from the... And I didn't realize that for some reason. I just realized the bigger thing on the plate, I don't know. Please see the court. I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matangard. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Especially what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, came to the conclusion that Mr. Matangard's knife was missing. Mr. Matangard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. Seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. Must be one of those traps and has walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown. It means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix. Let's ask this favor in the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong, yeah. The gavel of his will be ringing out the sound of our defeat. It's right. We have something important and necessary to present to this court. This to be another trap. 35. Don't say anything. Don't risk throwing out a bad piece of evidence. I don't know if this is actually the correct way to go or not, but looks like the defense isn't saying a peep on this one, which means this court is adjourned. Phoenix, we will lose this case if you give up here. So you had better shot at something. Quick! Slow down, we all know I have the tendency to be wrong more than I can even say it. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. It's right. I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. You may not present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that we must show the court? Maybe this? Sorry, Wright, but this time your blocking steered you wrong. I guess the next round about this piece of evidence. Okay, well, never mind then. Heck. Maybe this. What is not seen? Is it this then? I don't know. Guess not. I mean, I can go through every evidence, I guess, but can't just fuck. Am I just dumb? Is the person or is it the? Saves coming is fun. This makes no sense. Something strange about some piece of evidence. Maybe it's this. Never fucking mind, dude. Okay, what the hell is it? Am I this time? Oh, so it was... Yeah, I checked on the guide. It's a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. His face was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Well, yes. It is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Besides, what is it, Your Honor? Your opinion. You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. Does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Miss Andrews really have set the glass down without thinking. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. It is my fault for it, if you're thought-provoking enough. Defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. You would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Miss Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Do you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected. For fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one. But whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants, rather, they were one Adrian Andrews. What? That's why I said that the person who had discovered her body, the body had left it there. Fuck. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now do you see, Mr. Wright? Right, just... Why, you can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Gotcha. I wonder what happened to that calm composer he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy, it's been about a year since we last met. You should be more than happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under the helmet is the wicked witch of the witness stand? I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with a terrible crime. Please witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Yes, I'm talking to my dear Etchy Wetchy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No, please by all means interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youths are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Etchy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. It's correct, Miss Oldback. It was a great job being able to see my dear Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean, you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not for me. Not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida. Those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well, please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There's something I was interested in finding out, you know? Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. There was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. He was on guard, Matt on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. On guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mrs. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Solberg, what was your post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that made sure the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. That's when you went to hang around the victim's door. Something you were interested in. Just what was that? It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's a secret between me and Juan. Oh yeah, and Etchy Boom, of course. That's what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, you know. Gossip. But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to a testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. Did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Oh, then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corrida's room? I have no idea. I was not born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20 I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. Self-information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of one's room. He was. Yes, he was. I'm too scared. I can say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisco's flip right about now. True. Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. You saw my client. Are you sure about that? Yes, say. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid the repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail. You don't need me to tell you about his face. The soft, gentle look in his eyes and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by his silky hair, his sparkling shining teeth. Teeth were shining? Well, he's shining all around in this week's pinup poster, dearie. This week's pinup? Why do you? I mean, I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please stay with what you saw that night. What? The guard's face is the same no matter where it is, you know. You whippersnapper. So, Mr. Wright, is this testimony is not important or relevant in any way? I guess. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of the testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say. Right, there's something much more valuable than a person's pride. That is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions. Yes, Your Honor, I think I just wasted his good favor. She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. It's bad for us, really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It also has a tendency to jump off topic. She's straight onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? That's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. What was the man you saw carrying? In which hand? His right or his left? Now this is a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question. Indeed. Please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright. Sorry. What was the man you saw carrying his right hand? He wasn't carrying anything in that hand. And how about his left? Empty. Well, this whole thing has me a lot of nothing. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. A troublesome man you are, really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket. I was swearing that at the detention center too. Things meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. I'm right. So is it right? Maybe I'll try the face and then not important. Are you sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket? What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in any other than that horrible thing. I'm sure I was wearing it. He's so sure of yourself that it's to the point of self-absorption. You may not remember things or be mistaken here. His old bag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? It's button number 2 on the Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want the button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Angard's body during a full body search. See. Despite a proof beyond a shadow of doubt, it was that rascal on guard. He was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See. And on guard is the nickel samurai. Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say the defendant, Hatan guard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. But what a trend is. Now hold your tongue still there first, 1 second. So what you saw in actuality wasn't Mr. On Guard, the man, but Mr. On Guard, the nickel samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. This is such a same situation to the fucking to the third case in the first game. It's all back. This is a very important point we're talking about. Chipu, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one side, not you. On guard. Yes, now I remember. Nickel Samurai, that's right, it was the Nickel Samurai I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stepping for Juan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Do you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, think has sure things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, young'uns today. I told you, there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. Well, I say it's the truth. Wow. At least he's just as delightful a witness as he was a year ago. It's alright, you may cross-examine the witness. I already know what I'm doing. This one. Yes, I think so. Maybe, hopefully. Do I just present this one? No, I don't. Never mind then. Because we know that Angar didn't actually know about the Do we have any evidence about this? Whoops. Shit. Abalot, what's up? Or maybe it's on the next one here. I need to present this one. Never fucking mind. Or can I even present that thing here? Do I just press for now? I guess I just press for now. Ugh. Okay then. Could you please get on with your testimony? What's your language, young man? What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. What? If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs. What? A striking figure by the sea, standing all alone, is he? He's the Nika samurai. He's actually singing. Don't help my poor ears. That's what. Can you please do something about this racket? Goodness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be a goodness. Stick to just the facts. Okay, you promise, right? Right? I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later day. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too. It's that old chum. Oof. Be a little more careful with the testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not. Not too long ago. Let me ask you this: when you were itty bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, Whippersnapper? A dream, huh? Well, I want to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public score, so what? See? And look at where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier, who puts any weight in things like that? And now is everything. I won't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that man was inside that costume, isn't that enough? Too long. That's fine. Wait, hold on. Where's Oldback's claim? Okay. I see. And why would that be? That way, no one could see his face, of course. There's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you'd think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You're such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say. That what you are always doing to me? I got it. Maybe there's more troubles for him to change in and out of his costume. Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-commercial? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing. That included the Champion Ninja. Of course it included him. That's why when On Guard came out of Tier 1's room, they didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai. As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. There's contradiction in the testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. I know what she's talking about, but I guess you don't. Like, how do I even... Where's the evidence that says the thing? Do I just... No. Guess not. Do I present this one then? Guess not. I guess I presented on something though, because that's the only one that makes sense. But what is the question? Okay, what the hell? Hold on. Let me see. Am I just dumb? There's a knife, is the statement. Some warranted. How does that make sense to present? I don't know. Hi Sensei, what's up? Let's take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Or not? Do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That's exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. Arngard was really in the nickel samurai costume at the time of the murder, and it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. 11 no hit. Oh shit, that's pretty fucking sick, dude. Congrats. Top 13 when? Are you gonna try and do the skips now? Or are you gonna try and push it lower without them? I was looking earlier and like the run that you got like a 13 on with one hit on Senior, or it looked like really good apart from like just RNG being RNG. Impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. All 54 with 3 hits. Oh shit. Damn. Oh, that's right. The nickel samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. Why would he do that though? And why would he do something like that? Leave his print on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. But let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the nickel samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent of the murder. So Wright just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. The murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Wright's theory? So let me get this right. That's what theory goes like this. The defendant went to the victim's room. He had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with his theory? Well, what? My mind spaced while I was reading that previous there. Hold on. I need to more time on this one, so let me. Okay. The defendant went to the victim's room. He had no intention of killing him. There are no problems. Or I can't see any real problems with the theory. If you let that so its theory stand, then we are one very large step closer to guilty verdict. Look at the court record again and take another shot at it. I just have to think about it one more time. It's right, please make your decision soon. Is there a contradiction? I guess there is, but like, what is the contradiction though? Is it this one? It might be this one actually. I don't know. No. Oh, yeah, fuck, I don't know. There's a contradiction, but I don't know what it is. Is there a contradict something in an earlier testimony? Oh. What are you babbling about? Some spells are below consistent. Yeah, makes sense. Now for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Arngard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. This knife. This was used by Mr. Angard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corrida. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. The murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder. There should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprint shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order I say. Order in the court. Was the knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? I mean, to hide the murder method, I guess. But I'm still gonna say it just in case. It's to hide the way in which the murder was carried out, of course. More of your nonsense? Take another good look at the autopsy report. The victim actually died from strangulation. The killer tried to hide this by stabbing a knife into the victim's chest. Doesn't the autopsy admit that the cause of death was strangulation? Well, yes, the real cause of death was easily discovered. And I'd say the knife did a terrible job of concealing this fact. Haha. Okay, so it was a wrong. Of course, it's to frame my client, Mr. Angard, of course. Frame? Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? Well, we just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume. If that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Our witness! Looks like I made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh? As you prove. Witness, did you or did you not really see the nickel samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Angard with the nickel samurai? He's tracked from TV. But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. I wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai. Alright then, who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida, am I correct with this? Ha ha ha. The way you think, you're a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? The old bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe the old bag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think it is, yet it's still impossible. This old bag. You were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Who is this person? It's Adrian Andrews, Mr. Angard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... Ha, I see. Just seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. This manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's Adrian Andrews, without a doubt. The witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness? What in the world are you? Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some very secret information from a certain source. That's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Well, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this, however, I cannot simply let this one slide. I see. Very well then. Witness, please testify about this secret information. Get ready. It's going to take the wind out of our own hands. I'm sure we are all capable of handling this. Really, it isn't like we're 10 years old. The Vanguard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Fuan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Tuan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay. The defendant sent his manager to the distasteful topic for this call. What? Nobody's about gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard of that one before. Miss Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We have looked into this matter, found that the truth the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip. Should this be true? This proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means, fuck, now that Mr. Wright, it makes her cross-examine the witness. Careful, Goldbeck seems rather excited now. That's right, the guard is nothing but your average full-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you've got to burn old backs with fire. What? Then the fire taps the burners and hit the highway to the danger zone. You can say something like that without proof. That's just slander. But it's true, that woman was getting intimate with poor Fuan. Look, it says so right there, doesn't it? Venture to the stars, Miss AA. The name of the magazine is the name from Miss Gossipland. But are you saying that gossip is all this a bag of lies? What do you know? I suppose next you'll swear to me that the news is 100% truth. Honestly, son, you can't discriminate between the news and gossip. Yes, discrimination is bad, Mr. Wright. Discriminate? When did I do anything like that? Anyway, On Guard will never get me to say touche. That was a nice one. Actually, that flew over my head for a moment, but... God. Okay. A scandal. What do you mean by that? You're dealing with that one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, the Vanguard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity. You don't have any proof that Mr. Vanguard did anything. Must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. Now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right. You're right, I can't do anything, but boy do I wish I could do something about you. Alright then, Sonny, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that Vanguard didn't bear any ill will towards one? Can I? I don't have anything to offer. See, that's what I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You're just giving me a free pass to say whatever I want whenever I want, silly boy. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles for you anyway. So what do you mean by I took action? Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Was it a slimy woman came out of one's room? I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you young'uns need. We're going to teach her a good lesson. I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this. No, stop. Well, it was too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night. Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know the secret information? Ah, well, that's because I'm a pro, yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drill a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. The point of the world is that old bat get such a secret piece of information. I actually know. I might know. Probably. So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? That's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldback? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that. Witness? I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing. On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. 10. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? Ah, that's it. That's the note. Ah. No. You see, this is something completely different. And my top secret list of groceries to buy. And you are the one who took Miss Hart's note. I'm a huge fan of poems, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself. On guard. I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Etipu, you believe me, don't you? No, I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only a little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your meat, that's why. God. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once. Looks like she is really sorry. Should I forgive her? If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness, you said that the only thing you stole was a note. Is this correct? Stole. Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible lonely trash can, that's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? It's all back. I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole at night. It's all back. The note was with the camera inside this case, wasn't it? The camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, my sweetie $1,600 camera disappeared on me. Why, witness? What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera too. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? That's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you, I fall in love and borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said Slimeback celebrity photographer. X extra often ever. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures he had taken. Professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Bailiff, check these camera's photos. Hurry. Must examine them at once. Well, Miss Edgeworth, what do we have? There's only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. Okay, this is the Nickel Samurai. Yeah, I told you, that's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. What does this all mean? What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Guard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright. The court will consider them before we close. We agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client. This photo really is decisive, then we're done for. If I raise an objection here and blow it, then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lothar took, there's... something strange with it, but I don't know what yet. There's something strange with this photo. I knew it was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree there's something strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with the bunker buster. Debunk with the bunker buster, is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Red? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I had to find something wrong with this photo, I can't let this chance go by. Where the heck did she take this photo from anyway? It's a lot of photos. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange? Wait. Wait, no, never mind, shit. What the hell about this is strange, actually. Oh, what? Wait, what? Guide says choose the white part on the front of the left foot. Which fucking white part? This one here? Or wait, what? I'm confused. This is the Where is this left? Which one? Goddamn. Go with that. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And what does it mean? Costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Angard. Oh, yeah, I thought something like because of the Hakama, but what's the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate which actual facts that is. Take a look at the Nickel Sunrise poster. Oh, yeah. True. Let's pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the Hakama. Oh wait, so in this Hakama. God, I don't know what anything is, I guess. his socks, you can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his Hakama up just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself for this time. It's curious. Huh? What is? This one is unusually calm today. It's true. Just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can always guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. Doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all. That's what. Where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt on guard, and everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt on guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over these things, it's very simple. What you should be focused on is Ed's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm? So right, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph? Maybe. Adrian Andrews? If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it is none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews, when the world points you to her? For starters, she's short, and she can freely move in and out of Mr. Angard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Angard that night. How does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Angard's fingerprints all over it. A knife that was used as a murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, Mr. Wright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. Defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It is Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order! Looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. That's what. Yes, sir. This court is suing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. The verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony. Alright, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? No. If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya... Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. Now then. Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth. Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Unexpected development. I think you underestimate me, Your Honor. What do you mean by that? Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. Oh. What? What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She's the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man. Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. To be continued. I'm going through safe house so fast, oh my god. That was the... Yeah! True enough. True enough. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian, no way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. Is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. Only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. After the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planned that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up. Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she's the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Corina. But why? I thought she was buds with one. It's her own. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? She'll see by that time. This trial's over. Be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Liar Dude? Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celestine Black's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. That's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. One thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Perhaps I said Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impacts. Edgeworth. Looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Oh boy. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Miss Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Guard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure, what is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. And would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. I know, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corina. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of the crime. But I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing. She is the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant his trial is over, understand? When I found the book. It's time for the... oh, wait. And what was Mr. Guard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini performance as the Miko Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Guard did say he was taking a nap. And I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes. Excuse me, it? What are you? Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can make a sensible sentence with the subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Unguard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Just give basic grammar. The witness may continue. Oh man. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, one was make an appearance with the other heroes. The show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is it the only reason? I beg your pardon, what are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get to the talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to this room? We were in shock. What? Was I not supposed to be? Sanders is a very calculating person. Despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Corina. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. You can seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. Is the photo you're referring to correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too. Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next with this? Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. You didn't drink any of it, did you? Ah. There were no lip marks left on this wine glass. They don't suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down, without drinking. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm that with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Concordia, you were in great shock. That's when you poured yourself a glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake, that one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It's originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry, I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, people would simply assume the waste was just another part of the mess. Looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this to anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I would try to take one's close. So I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser. That's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. It sounds like there's any glaring contradictions in testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you are going to catch her is with some very strong decisive evidence. I'll find something. I just have to, for my sake. Testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. Are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there's one other strange thing about this guitar case. And why is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are shattered on the floor. What's wrong with that? The guitar case was open when the vase fell. Glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, right? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over. Is it all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The brand new guitar was found at the studio. It is no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. So, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it's you. I believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll pull all of them for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. Not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. So why I opened the case, even I don't know. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. Its wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and stop the cross-examination. You think anyway, to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. Goddamn. There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. What is it, Mr. Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony. So of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. Going through some results, save slots. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is it strange? You have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Order, order, order. So you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. It's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. What do you mean? It was a bright white guitar. Wait, that's not right either. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... No, it's obvious that the defense is an unusual misdirection technique at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it was wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you're so sure, right? And I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why this guitar case has anything to do at all with this murder. Do I have any knowledge to it? I guess. I mean, once I check the evidence or something. Can you read that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. Bright red guitar not being the only thing. I mean to suggest that the bright black kid. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is it right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? This makes no sense. So I feel like I'm sorry. Well. Was it this then? That makes no sense either though. No fucking clue, dude. How much is this time? Oh, what the fuck, dude? Wait, hold on, where is it? Oh. This is a photograph. And yes, I checked the other guide because I had no idea anymore. So, what's important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. This picture doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is that the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? So right, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case, take out the costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? But the insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Mr. Andrews put it to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone else see you and leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot correct. You, give me this photo. Order, order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice up, pigs. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside the costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Unguard's. Why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? Inside the guitar case of all places. True, that is a little baffling. So right, the court would like to hear thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? The guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Great Gateway Hotel? Yes, that is what I am saying. But how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? To mean that the victim himself had brought this bear to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Korida, was the Gemi Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with guts though. Believe in you, I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. What do I think? The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hollow was... Yes, maybe. What's this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. Press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Unguard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim. Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference. But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with it right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. By confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Unguard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews, you can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me. Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation, please. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You. Juan had bet everything on Gemi Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That was what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. Unguard is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Unguard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Sanders, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. Well, I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. Finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than scared of it. The defense can find no fault with this testimony. I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. This means I had to put my weight in this and turn her logic upside down. You say that was your intuition speaking to you. Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need three things. Three things. Motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think these three things true, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. Didn't teach that was at school, at least not from what I remember. I continue now. But would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose the event and the total for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Guard. You knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Unguard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Press me against us now, are we, Mr. Wright? Has Mr. Unguard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? We're the one who helped Mr. Corrida with his press conference. That event was supposed to bring down Mr. Unguard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Unguard, right? But the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan. It's none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Unguard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Unguard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Anders has said. I can say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. He's glaring straight at me. He's getting at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. Fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. During the fight, the killer ripped the button from Terminus's costume. We're talking about this button, correct? The button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't it correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Ah. Looks like you were out of focus again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. The knife is there, yes. Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard. I've heard that before too. Why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that. That's because I'm prepared and you are not. And I thought I had heard this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on it. But it has to be here. But where and what? But what you really did was stabbing the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Angard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corrida planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to close Mr. Angard as much damage as she possibly could. The witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Black's philosophical power hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Pretty. Just to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press it a little more. You should know this by now. But you'll need a strong decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Okay. Well, if I just present this here... Never mind. Never mind. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. So strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it. Which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means... it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order, order. What is the meaning? What's the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was turned off the body after the victim had already died? What does it change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Sweat. Why was the button turned off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not turned off during the fight. So murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the vendor had something in mind, wouldn't it? It's alright. Does this mean... Does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. To step into crime when Mr. On guard. There's no way anyone put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. On guard was set up. But the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Vanguard is... I guess we go with her. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Corrida's killer. What? Order, order, order. Mr. Wright. It's a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. Why am I saying so often? I don't know. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On guard, naturally. The knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. Only people who could have done so were the person who found his body and or the killer. However, if Mr. On guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put in such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On guard's Hakama, the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you yet again, Sanders. I see. What about the empty guitar case? It's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just a costume inside the guitar case? Only being the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Mr. Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found in the guitar case. It was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the class of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reason a bold person on earth can believe the single samurai is Mr. On guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Sanders, you are also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I... I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something. If it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Angard's room. Adrian Andrews. Yeah. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Mr. Andrews to not testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. There's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence. List of murders, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Mr. Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. Oh, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Yeah, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. The defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do. Oh man. And it is to declare a recess. Recess? Because that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have it tomorrow. We don't get that not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you? It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that's very true, but actually there's one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but think how unnatural it is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. Some actions were unusual, but I've already... Free speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again, as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever she found out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. is about it today, but I can't get a good read of him. Is he friend or foe? I don't know. Court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. The class of choice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it, Mrs. Date. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. They poured a glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. That's what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Man. You thought he fainted. I thought he was asleep at first. But then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. That's when you went to pour the glass of juice. Yes, he always had a hard time waking up. Someone always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then, who did you pour it for? So right, there's a rhyme and reason for everything. And you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you. In the words, right, be quiet and listen. Precisely, I couldn't have said it better myself. So, it was a mess. Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corina? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you do? Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there, his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. It's just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? Hold on. What? How is that not it? Never mind, then I guess. Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. Then he felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all? You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. How did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pills. I was shocked, staggered backward, and knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. This the absolute end for both sides. And and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. And a bit harsh. Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Gosh. What do I even, what? Oops. Why? This is still wrong, like in the corner is wrong. This is not in a corner, to be fair. Or would it be... that on either one of those statements? Guess not. What the fuck? Oh, so okay, that makes more sense now. That was the photo, but it was the wrong statement that I put it on. I'm dumb. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. Ah! What's the meaning of this? It's obvious, Your Honor. There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corrida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that it was a dead man. That's... well, you see... I don't a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is... Sanders, your testimony just now is full, well, one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. You are the real killer. No. Looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matangor, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Sanders, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Fuan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Sanders, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there's no need for this call to continue any further. Mr. Matangard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? You see, well, usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matangard. Governor, prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you? Witness? Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head. As long as you protect yourselves through your silence, Matangard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. But I was told if I spoke then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What the hell is she talking about? Has he lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francisco and Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by creeping tightly onto the words of one another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. And right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word. No matter what happens, if you do, Matangard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone help me. It's right. Yes or no? I can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? Someone else it could be except the one crying over the door, right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix, right? I mean, I want her testifying, but I'll go with this first, just because why not? See. Well, what she says, Miss Andrews is the only person it could be. Not to mention, I don't have a choice. I have to win a complete acquittal today. Gunnar, the defense believes there is enough evidence to substantiate our claim. Therefore, we motion this court passes verdict of not guilty as soon as possible. I'm disappointed in you, Wright. What have you learned in this past year? That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this. However, what did Mr. Edgeworth? Sanders, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She's in illness. What? Because of this illness, she had tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop, please stop. So how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now with this? You know that what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. Secret of her dependent nature. Thing other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop, I beg you. If people find out, you'll find out. I'm going to say you would choose death. That is of no concern to me. But how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I'll pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. Funny enough, apparently the guide actually says you have like choose and force Andrews to testify, but I guess it goes to this testimony anyways. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. That's when I finished and was returning to Matt's room. I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. Stabbed the body with the knife. But why would you do that? It's obvious. To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The killer is Matt. Scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Zombie Andrews stabbed the victim, Point Corrida, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. But you could tell from the state the room was in, there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is a part of the Chemi Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and went for the choice. What's this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So I did this to chop one and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the first pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. First thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. That's when I finished and was returning to Matt's room. I had a... I like brain farted totally and you realize that, yeah, okay, whatever. So you could get the knife correct. The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. Well, if I use that, then the police will certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I stepped in, took the knife and returned to the scene of the crime. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. Gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stepped towards the body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So I thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Arngard's Hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? An inconvenience. There was a woman with the camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldback for you. I'd already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared the costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. Also put it in the Juan's Guitar case the day before the award ceremony. Is this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. Who's going to disclose Matt's big secret there? What is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt is the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, he went back to Miss Arngard's room and planted the button. The Matt Sakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it in the bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does all this mean? Besides what, is it? The real criminal is Matt Arngard. Yesterday, the woman prosecutor set me down for talk. Franziska, huh? Said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. But if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Mr. Anders on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You can establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... That's what. Please place Miss Anders under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. Prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for the day. Today's trial. It's over. Can't win an acquittal. Witness, do you mind if I ask you something? Yes. What is it? Before you leave the court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. He was lying there right next to him. He found that card next to the victim's body. I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Fawn's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card if you ask me. As far as a clue to this case, I don't see why. Witness, that card. Give it to me. Hurry. Yeah, it's worth. Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This, I can't believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What's this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. The card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? Oh man. Oh man. Okay, well we got through the trial. Oh god. Okay. Okay.